Greetings. Welcome back to my channel, Ham Radio Test and Review. My name is Dave. My call sign is NA-805. My name is in my call sign. I live in Prescott, Arizona, and I have a motto: one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Today, I'm going to be continuing my series of stubby antenna tests. So just kick back and relax, and I'll be right back with my next antenna that I'll be testing. Okay, the next antenna that I'm going to be testing today is a Nagoya NA-805. Now, this is actually rather tiny antenna. You can see this. I think this is the shortest of all the antennas I'm going to be testing. The thing is about this antenna is that it's a fake Nagoya. Nagoya no longer makes the NA-805 model that I can tell. I went out to their website. It is no longer there. And I've tried looking for them, and there are a couple of used examples out there, and they look a lot different than this one. One of the things that I found about this being a possible fake is that instead of having Nagoya and the model number actually printed on the antenna, which Nagoya does with all their antennas, this has a label that's not even put on straight with all the information. However, it is printed in kind of a grayish silver, and that's what Nagoya does. A lot of the Nagoya antennas were printed in blue, the fake ones, but this one is printed in gray, but it's on a label, and the label's not even on very straight. So also, here's the package that it comes in. Now, if you try to access the QR code right here, it's not a real QR code. So again, another reason to believe that this is not a real Nagoya antenna. And the last but not least is, it's hard to see, but inside the package here, the green piece of paper has boxes that can be checked for SMA female, SMA male, BNC, so on and so forth, connectors, and none of them are checked. And on the real model, they would have checked that. So here we go. It's also very, very cheap packaging. So anyway, I thought that you would be interested in seeing a fake antenna tested on the channel. So kick back and relax, and I'm going to come back with the specifications as stated by whoever is selling this thing. Okay, one of the interesting things about working with these little fake antennas is that the advertising differs in certain aspects from one page to the next, or one graphic to the next. And I'll give you a real classic example. They advertise this as a dual band antenna, but then they say that it's good on 3 bands. So is it a tri-band antenna or is it a dual band antenna? I'll let you decide that for yourself. But they do state that it is a dual band antenna, even though they also state that is good for the 144 megahertz band, the 430 megahertz band, and the 1200 megahertz band. So, you know, is it tri-band or is it dual band? I'll let you decide. This is the shortest antenna, I think, in the whole bunch that I have. All right, I got a little interrupted there. I left the radio on, of course. This is the shortest antenna of the bunch. It's 1.5 inches long. That's really tiny. It's a very, very short antenna. It's made out of hard plastic, and the connector is an SMA female. The advertiser or the manufacturer, I'm not sure which, does not state what the impedance is supposed to be. And it does state, though, that the SWR is supposed to be less than 1.5 to 1. Now, is that less than 1.5 to 1 on both bands, the 2 meter and the 70 centimeter, or all 3 bands? I don't know, but we will find out today. They also state that it's a maximum of 10 watts. No gain is specified, no wave is specified, and whether it's resonant or not is not specified. As you all know, I feel that these little stubby antennas are quite compromised. I mean, the smaller, the even more compromised they are. So I don't expect great things from this antenna. It could be the greatest antenna. I don't know. We'll find out when we do some of the testing. But you know, again, the smaller the antenna, the more coils you have to have, the more energy that's absorbed when you transmit. So technically speaking, it's probably not going to be the greatest antenna in the world. However, if you want a really, really dinky, tiny little antenna, if you have a need for something like that, and if the testing comes out, I don't know whether it's going to or not, this might be something you might want to take into consideration. One last, or actually two last things, and I wanted to give you the price that I paid for it. I paid $11.99 for two of these things. I've already given one away because I don't want to deal in fakes. But when I bought it, I knew it was a fake. I bought it just for this sake of actually testing a fake antenna. So I just wanted to do that. And it actually, of the first set of antennas that I've been testing, it does come with a rubber grommet or gasket, whatever you want to call it, which is a surprise for a fake antenna. So kick back, relax, and I'll get set up to do all the SWR testing and the field strength testing. And then after that, we'll do the field testing, real world testing, and then I'll come back to my ham shack for a final review. All right, first up, we are going to be testing the fake Nagoya NA-805 on the 2-meter band, and let us see what we come up with. SWR of 4.73 at 5.13 watts. Okay, our next test is the SWR power meter test on the 70 centimeter band. And we have 2.20 at 3.17 watts. Okay, we're back. The 1.25 meter band is not specified as being a part of this antenna, so we won't be testing that today. However, I am testing the GMRS band, just like all my GMRS fans love. So here we go, channel 16 of GMRS, 2.46 at 2.64 watts. All right, I'm set up with my Nano VNA. When I turn it on, it will start working on the 144 to 148 megahertz, the 2-meter band. Let's turn it on and see what we come up with. Oh, that's rather interesting. I see that this looks like really, really bad. Okay, at the center of the band, we have an SWR of 7.643. All right, let's take it over to the 70 centimeter band. Let's see what we get. And at the center of the band, we get 1.698 with a wild curve. And last but not least, we're going to test on the GMRS band for all you GMRS fans. Here we go. And center of the band is 2.015. All right, we're back. We're going to be running the field strength meter test first on the 2-meter band. Next, we're running the field strength meter test on the 70 centimeter band. And last but not least, we are running the field strength meter test on the GMRS channel 16. All right, we're back out here at my favorite Stubby antenna testing park. And as some of my posters have asked me to do, to always say how far away I am from the repeater. So I'm about a quarter to 3/8 of a mile away from the repeater. I have 2 houses and an outbuilding in between me and the repeater, and I'm underneath a metal awning doing this. And of course, you can also see the high power lines back up behind me. I don't know if that'll affect this or not because I'm transmitting forward and away from the power lines, but we'll see. You might also hear some birds and maybe some other animals out here today. Seems to be a lot of wildlife going out around here today. So anyway, let me try the radio. I have it set up channel mode on the correct frequency. Let me try it. This is NA-805. I'm testing 1, 2, 3. I'm testing the fake Nagoya NA-805 stubby antenna. And I'm looking to see how well it sounds when it gets back to me. DAV, I'm testing 1, 2, 3. I'm testing the fake Nagoya NA-805 stubby antenna. And I'm looking to see how well it sounds when it gets back to me. Well, as you can hear, a lot of static. So I'm, obviously it's having a little bit of a trouble getting into my repeater. And of course, then the repeater is coming back to me and it's not having any trouble getting back to me. And that's basically the way it is, because with the good antennas and with a real good antenna, I get full quieting into the repeater and I get full quieting back. So with that static, I would say, maybe not so great, maybe average, below average. I don't know. Let me think about it. Well, when I get back to the ham shack, I will give you my final thoughts on this antenna. All right, I'm back at the ham shack. I don't know if you can see this or not, but it appears that this little Nagoya antenna doesn't stick straight up from the radio. It sticks off at an angle a little bit, almost like the little mounting bracket inside of the antenna with the SMA female connector is not mounted inside the antenna perfectly perpendicular. So shows you some of the quality issues that we run into with these antennas. So what are my thoughts about this antenna? Well, it is a fake. There's no question about it. The performance of the antenna in the real world test was not all that great. It did get to the repeater, which is, I got to give it some credit, but it had a lot of static. So I would call it probably below average, not average, but below average performance. And let me come right back with some of the more statistics that we had during the actual testing. So getting back to this, some of the SWR readings that we got, that was very, very strange readings with this antenna. Normally, the SWR power meter and the nano VNA are usually pretty close, one way or the other. But today, the 2-meter reading for the power SWR meter was 7.63 or 7.643, which is very, very high. And the nano VNA was also very high at, I'm sorry, it was the other way around. The power SWR meter was 4.73, which is very high for that, but even higher for the nano VNA at 76.43. I've never had readings that were that far apart before, which shows me that something's not quite right with that antenna. Then on the 70 centimeter band, using the SWR power meter, I came out with 2.2. And on the nano VNA, I came out with 1.698, which a lot closer, still a little bit far apart. But also you notice that the nano VNA is considerably lower than the power meter. Usually it's the other way around. Power meter is usually just a little bit below the nano VNA, but they're usually so close it's not even worth mentioning. And then on the GMRS band, they tightened up even a little bit more. The power meter was 2.46 and the nano VNA was 2.015. So I would expect performance on the GMRS band to maybe be okay, but I always test on the 2 meter band because that's usually the worst. Most of these dual band antennas and tri-band antennas are usually tuned for the 70 centimeter band and not the 2 meter band. It's just a generality I'm speaking about here. So I had that going on with the antenna. So some very strange, odd things, and I just don't consider my readings to be all that great. And I double checked everything just to make sure because it was so odd. The last thing is I'm not going to get into the field strength meter readings. I had some anomalies with the meter. I think the meter is actually going bad, so I'm not going to get into that with this test. I'm just going to just going to say no field strength meter testing in this particular case. Only because, like I said, my meter seems to be doing some wacky things with the frequency, not with the field strength. But I want to make sure that when you see the meter work, that you see the proper frequency come up on the meter. And I think it's still working fine as far as the field strength is concerned. But I can't trust it if the frequency isn't correct when it comes up. So anyway. So those are the things that I found during the testing. I would have to say this is probably a no-go for anybody who wants an antenna. You can buy um, antennas the same price that will actually perform much better. The TID radio TD-805S was a general okay performer, maybe even up to maybe a good performer. I don't know. We'll have to see, get more data and more antennas under our belt before I can actually say good. But it was definitely an average to above average performer, somewhere in there. And the SWR wasn't all that bad on it. And, who knows? For the price, I thought that might be a good value. But for this particular antenna, I wouldn't touch this antenna with a 10-foot pole. So anyway, that's my opinion. And as we all know, one test is worth 1,000 expert opinions. Anyway, my name is Dave. I'm NA-805. I live in Prescott, Arizona. And I'm saying 73s and so long.